Women are the most impacted with just about every single thing that you talk about. Women are caregivers, they're teachers, they're social workers, they're nurses, they're therapists.
The women of this House have taken on the challenges for families and children in each and every piece of our legislation, and we have moved this state forward.
Why do women still make something like 80 cents to the dollar of men? It mystifies me, but it's still the case.
I've been told that I don't have a place. I've been told to be quiet. I've been told that my role is just to sit back and look pretty.
I was often asked on the campaign trail, how are you going to do this and be a mom? I actually responded the first time. I said, would you ask a man that question? Because if you would, I'm happy to answer it, but I don't think you would.
When I ran for office the first time, my political opponent went door to door knocking and told people that I had young children and that it would probably be better if I stayed home.
I was asked, well, you're a mom, you have a toddler. How are you gonna run for office? How are you gonna serve our community?
I can recount so many times where I have said something and then a man has said the exact same thing that I said, and everyone in the room says, I like what Joe said. Joe, you just said exactly what I said. So I'm still wondering how folks are having a hard time hearing women.
I am a woman of color, an openly LGBT member of our community, and a millennial. Many individuals thought that my run for assembly wasn't feasible because of all that.
Why is it? I don't fully understand why. We were not included in day one with the vote. We were not included as full citizens.
Oftentimes women in leadership positions come with a full experience. I happen to be a mother. I also happen to be a caregiver for a sick person. So every time I sit at the leadership table, it's not just me, right? It is my working class background. It is the struggle of my mother and my grandmother. It is the struggle of my wife, who I have to provide care for every day.
Having a woman at the table is going to bring a different perspective. The woman is going to uplift not only women, but families as a whole.
The power I would get, the strength and the confidence in myself to speak out on issues came from other women. And I never forgot that. It came from farm worker women like my mother.
We now have the reality of having a woman and a woman of color representing us in the White House.
Vice President Kamala Harris, mixed race woman, she ascended to be the second most powerful person in the world.
I could not imagine having that conversation.
A lot of us grew up hearing her name. We hear about the movement, Si Se Puede. She goes back to her roots. She's an organizer.
She was a co-founder of the UFW. To me, she's a living legend.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, not only is she a brilliant legal mind that I respect so greatly, but she fought fights when it was hard. She went in for the movement for gender equity when it wasn't the thing to do and fought till the end of her life.
One of the most inspiring quotes that stays with me today, real change, lasting change, happens one step at a time. And that is what I use every day that really guides my work in the legislature.
Everything that Justice Sotomayor stands for is what we should all stand for. Making sure that when she interprets the law, that it is done in a way that truly represents the great states, the United States of America.
Pro Tem Toni Atkins, I think, is symbolic of the power of women and also the power of the California dream. From Western Virginia as a young person and to rise to the level that she has as an LGBT person who came from poverty, I think it's just an extraordinary tale of the power of women.
Toni is a trailblazer. She's proven to do things not just as a woman, not just as LGBTQ, but as a leader, period.
March Fong Yu was the first API woman elected to a legislature anywhere in the whole United States. And she was California's first female Secretary of State.
I remember my mom voting for March Fong Yu as a young person. Again, all of these women, I think, represent the power of all of us and the possibility for all of us.
So many of us will probably say, women in our family encouraged us or motivated us to do what we're doing now. I think of my mother, who was a teacher and then an actress, And she taught me the importance of hearing people's stories and sharing people's stories and then translating those stories into truth and into power.
I am one of 5 kids. I'm number 4, but I'm the oldest daughter. My mom would always tell me, you have to be in charge of your little sister, you have to be in charge of your little cousin. And so I was just kind of thrown into that role. And so it was just like, you just have to be in charge, you just have to be a leader.
As a young girl, I picked onions and grapes alongside my brothers and sisters. I saw how my mom worked really hard to make sure we had a good life. My dad worked really hard in his full-time job, but it made a difference for me knowing that my mother had done everything she could to make sure that we got the education we needed. As I grew older, that was an important part, that nothing was going to be handed to me.
When I was growing up, there weren't many women that we could look up to that held leadership jobs. My mom told me and my sisters that we could do anything and be anything. And so when I saw women like Ruth Bader Ginsburg leading the way and changing the world for women through her position as a Supreme Court justice, I knew that that was the role I needed to have, to be at the decision-making tables and to change the conversation for women.
Well, yeah, you know, girls can't be presidents. Look, president of a high school, a girl can't be the president. So of course, the very next year I ran. And I won, and I was the first girl president of my high school. Nobody's gonna tell me no for something that I know I have the capability to do, and I know that other women have the capability to do.
It's different for every woman, and I think embracing the diversity that we as women are is so vital and important, and it's a part of the reason why I wanted to represent my community, because I am a woman and I am a Latina, and I have a diverse perspective, and I think a unique perspective.
It's taken us 100 years to get to the highest number of women in the state legislature, but we have to make sure we get to parity, and we have to make sure we get to parity in all levels of society. And so I think we are an example that we will keep thriving no matter what, and we will keep making gains.
Until I think our pay matches our work, we will never achieve full equality. And I think we need to continue to encourage education for young women, not only just in the US, but around the world. A more educated women are always going to make change in different ways and be able to stand up for themselves.
Giving women the full seat at the economic table, that's the most important. And that requires women in political leadership as well as in the leadership of every aspect of the economy. Business CEOs, boardrooms, you name it.
For my daughter, making sure she has the right to control her own future, which means giving her equity, giving her the right to be equal to everyone in this country and to control her own body so that she has equal access to job opportunities and the future she deserves.
I hope that young girls will look around and look for mentors, people that are women that are willing to lift them up and to bring them in, because there are a lot of us now, and we have more women in the state legislature than we've ever had before.
I want them to learn and be equal to everybody, not think that anybody is better than them, not think that anybody could push them around. So be yourselves, but be strong about it. Be adamant about it.
You'll be surprised at how many other men and women are thinking the exact same thing that you are. So use your voice, love your voice, train your voice, and don't be afraid of your voice.
And just as I had those opportunities, I want every young girl to have the same opportunities and to know that no matter where we begin, it's where we end that matters. And that journey, getting there, is probably the most important thing that will happen in your life.
The decisions that we are making, the ideas that we're pushing through the legislature, it doesn't just stop with my generation. They will have lasting impacts for my children's generation and their children's generation.